Welcome to Beyond the Boardroom with CJ, a podcast where we discuss corporate governance issues in and outside the boardroom. And we also simplify corporate governance concepts just for you. We're starting our first episode this year discussing compliance obligations for 2026. Make no mistakes, these compliance obligations are not just for 2026. They are compliance obligations that you should check in annually. I'm going to be giving you five compliance obligations that I feel are of topmost priority, and many people just miss out on them. But we're going to be discussing these five briefly. There are lots from CAMA, from the NCCG, that's the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, from different regulatory bodies, act and regulations. That it depends on the industry that your company is in. You should be aware of and should be in compliance with. But these ones, we take them straight from CAMA. Number one, meetings. The statutory meetings that you should have as a company. And we're just going to be discussing three meetings. And I think we're not going to go, like I said before, into the depths of these meetings, but we're just going to let you know that these three meetings are very important. Number one, committee meetings. If your company, especially if you're not running a company that is now small, and in terms of small, it doesn't have to do with the numbers. If you know that you're running something that you want to be sustainable, I see no reason why you do not have committee yet from your board, from the members of your board. You should have a committee, and these committees should meet because these committees discuss issues at a very more focused level, and they present them to the board, who then decides and discuss them strategically. So committee meetings are very important. The next is your board meeting. I can't believe that you have a board of directors who do not meet. Sometimes they don't even know each other. How then, or you think that setting up your board is just appointing people and just leaving them there? No, there are strategic things that needs to be discussed. They have obligations. They have, what would I call them now? I'm just trying to get the word. But the obligations that their responsibilities, basically, yes, that's the word. These directors have responsibilities, and I can't believe that you're not utilizing it. They need to meet, your board needs to meet at least once in every quarter to discuss the progress of the company from the previous quarter and what the company needs to do in the next quarter. Try this and see how your company is going to, progress and improve. The next is AGM, Annual General Meeting. I can't believe that people have companies and they do not even have an AGM. You investor that invested your money or bought shares into this company or whatever it was, however you're a member, even if it's your family business, I can't believe that you're running a business and you've not had an annual general meeting. How then do the members know the financial state of the company? There are some businesses that are supposed to be transacted at the AGM. How do you do that if you do not have an AGM? So it's very important for you to discuss with your company secretary and ensure that you have these three meetings, at least the board meeting and the AGM this year. The next is annual returns. So all companies must file annual returns, even as little as business names. I'm sorry, I'm not saying business names are little, but I mean, you get what I mean. The hierarchy of businesses, business name is just something, yeah. So everyone must pay their annual returns. Most companies just go on vibes and inshallah. If you even try to file your annual returns, you just get your company secretary or anybody to just go onto the portal and file your annual returns. No, that's not right. There are things that should be done before your annual returns are filed. Your financial statements have not even been laid by the directors to the before the members at the AGM. How then do you just decide on what is approved? You just go on it and file your annual returns. You should do things the right way. Speak to your company secretary or speak to your legal your legal, whatever it is that manages the affairs, secretarial or company affairs of your company secretarial affairs, of your company. Speak to them and let things be done the right way. It's not just enough to file. I mean, you even file, you try. What about those who do not even file at all? Are you aware that if you do not file your annual returns for 10 years, that's a ground for the CAC to strike out the name of your company, delist it, and you have nothing to hold on to. So ensure last year and last 2 years, and every time we see the CAC release list of companies that will be delisted, and if you do not file your annual returns, the status of your company becomes inactive. And there's a lot that says, both to your reputation as an organization, and imagine if investors are trying to look you up. That's what they see, inactive, just because you did not file your annual returns. The next is to update any changes within the stipulated time, be it a change in the address, be it a change in the directors, be any change that is, that happens, basically not happened, that has happened, or, once they happen, there are stipulated timelines for these changes to be filed with the CAC. Failure to do that attracts penalty. Some of these penalties even count not just against the company, but against the directors, and some even count against each director. Some of them are daily. They're not just one-off penalties that you say, oh, you can pay. Now, let's just take an example. What's coming to my mind? Okay, so this is for not-for-profit organizations, anyways, that are to file their biannual returns, right? And they do not file it, and the penalty is a daily penalty of 500 naira on every trustee. Imagine you have 6 trustees. That's 3,000 naira for every day that you default. So there are a lot of penalties that count like this daily against the company and against the directors. So ensure that every change that has been made is updated within the stipulated time. The next is ensuring that your statutory registers are up to date. Your statutory registers ought to be up to date, because if they are not, it tells a lot about your secretarial affairs. And let's even start from the fact that you even keep these registers. Before we even talk about updating them, you should ensure that all statutory registers that are to be kept by your company are kept and they are updated regularly. Don't ask me with the registers. This is not the podcast to discuss them. Maybe we'd consider discussing them some other time. But if you can't wait, you can send us an email at BeyondtheBoardroom at BeyondtheBoardroomwithCJ at gmail.com, or you can send a DM to any of the social media platforms on my number, and we'll be able to discuss further how we can take it from there. The next is to ensure that you know the regulatory bodies or agencies that regulate your business. We've said this before. I think we said this at the beginning, and it's very important. In fact, when anyone comes to us as a firm where I work, one of the things that we try to do is to know the industry that this company falls under, and then do a checklist on all the regulatory bodies that regulate this particular industry and advise them appropriately. Because ignorance of the law, is not an excuse. There are regulations that guide the way you do business, your operations, your business operations. So it's very important that you are aware. How do you even comply with something that you're not aware of? So make sure to know the agencies, the regulatory bodies that regulate you. For example, the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria some time ago expanded the meaning of public interest entities. If you do not know, how do you then know that your company has not now been classified as a PIE, as a public interest entity? And there are obligations that have arisen from that particular expansion of the meaning of public interest company. So entity, sorry. So you fall under a PIE. There are obligations that are on you, but you do not know. You can't comply because you do not know. So ensure that you are aware of what is going on business-wise around you. And then the next, I think one of the typical ones that we've seen is the increase in share capital for companies that have foreign participation. A lot of people still come, and we are seeing that you are still having 10 million share capital when you have foreign participation. How? This is something that has been in, I think, since 2023 or 2024, and this is 2026, and there are still companies who are still having foreign shareholders and still have 10 million share capital as their share capital instead of 100 million. So these and many more are the kind of things that you should be aware of. I know I said 5, but I want to give you one Giara. Let me just read this particular one from Kama, section 729. This is just an extra. It says, every company after incorporation shall paint or affix, keep painted or affixed its name and registration number on the outside of every office or in place in which its business is carried on in a conspicuous position in letters easily eligible. There's another one, I think section 279C says every company, of course, after incorporation, shall have its name and registration number mentioned in legible characters in all business letters of the company and in all notices, advertisements, and other official publications of the company, and in all bills of exchange, promissory notes, endorsements, checks, and orders for money or goods purporting to be signed by or on behalf of the company, and in all bills of parcel, invoices, receipts, and letters of credit of the company. There are a lot, but the one that was of particular interest is the one that talked about having your registered name outside of your office. Last year, we saw a lot of companies default on this. The CAC, visit you and you are not in compliance, that's penalty. So we're just going to round it up here and we'll discuss this in more details in other episodes. So we look forward to having your engagement till I come your way again. Oh, before I go about the engagement, I'm coming your way again. Please make sure to subscribe to our channels on Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at BeyondtheBoardroomwithCJ. Engage, share with your network till I come your way again. Keep standing on business.